Well, hello, fellow traveler. Come on in, sit for a spell. We're going to dive into a fixed energy alchemy download, opening first with a collective read, and then we'll go into individual star sign reads for the fixed signs Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus, okay? We have quite a bit going on in this lunar cycle, and I do want to dive into that a little bit. But before I get into the particulars, I do want to talk about some interesting developments, some interesting things that came across my path as I was tuning into the energy of this lunar cycle and how it's being expressed as a fixed quality of elemental expression. And for it to come in fixed at this time is pretty poignant because we just had a shifting of those nodes of destiny on the 26th. We're no longer in that Virgoan Piscean territory. We now have Leo in the south node and Aquarius in the north node. And this went down on July 26th. This is going to be in play for about a year and a half until March 28th when they will shift again. So this is a very interesting territory that we're moving into, and yet it makes total sense at the same time. We'll dive into that a little bit. So anyway, I've been having some interesting experiences over, I keep saying interesting. So I feel like interesting is something that is a quality that's coming forward at this time. And I think things are also just so unusual that it's hard to put any kind of specific framework around them. I find myself saying things like interesting or curious frequently. I've been in that space for a couple of years now, honestly, and I think it's because I'm finding more of an opportunity to not judge things on the surface level or just look at something at face value. I find that there's always a lot more to gather there, a lot more to see there, and I think that that trend is really going to continue, but I digress. So I've been seeing a lot of dragons showing up in the clouds, in the sky. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And just as I say that, what comes out? The star. The star associated with the sign of Aquarius, and there is that north node right here being lit up. Now, often that journey of the south node to the north node is viewed as traversing the entire body of the dragon. You could say that the north node represents the dragon's head and the tail represents the south node. But also the dragon is very busy devouring karma, devouring old cycles. And when we're looking at the north node, it really is about ingesting, taking in what wants to be embodied, what wants to get rooted in our lives at this time. And when you look at that tail end, well, you know, it's about letting all that BS go. It's about letting go of what no longer serves us so you can give it over and let it serve as compost for what will grow in its place, okay? So we are moving with the dragon at this time, but it's a whole new kind of flow. And you could say that this is a golden dragon energy that we're moving with at this time because it is very much aligned with the ushering in of the golden age, which also brings along with it more of a collective consciousness as opposed to looking from an individual standpoint. And we've been really prepared for this, okay? We moved through that energy of Aries and Chiron where it was about the deepest wound of the self. And on the opposite side of that scale, we had the 7th house of Libra, okay? So that really had us in a place where we had to integrate a lot of healing lessons that we learned through relationships with others, but also how we relate to ourselves and how do we find ourselves within that balance where we don't lose ourselves within the dynamic of relationships or we don't lose ourselves within the collective landscape, understanding that we hold an important piece, and yet also recognizing that each person holds a piece too. And how can we get beyond the sort of divisory programming and look at things in a more comprehensive whole sort of way that doesn't require we lose the basic essence of who we are, okay? It's a powerful journey. It's a deep journey, but something that is really going to come to the forefront now that these nodes of destiny have shifted is that those who are really invested in thinking that they are at the center of the universe, that it all revolves around them, and that they can't really factor in other people to the equation, they're going to find that they have some really tough lessons to learn during this next year and a half, because this really is about kind of getting over ourselves and recognizing that we have to find a way to make a way, and that does include others here in moving forward into this new cycle. So what does that look like? I do find that we will establish a sense of balance where it has been missing here. We will find our way to get where we need to go, to be protected as well from anything that could block our passageway to what is truly meant for us. And when I mean meant for us, I mean showing up on the scene as an opportunity to improve ourselves further, refine ourselves further, to activate more of our life purpose. And there are a lot of things being weighed out in spiritual court right now, so do be aware of that. Do be aware of that. That is quite significant. So it's interesting in bringing in the dragon piece that would show up, that the star would show up just to really highlight that message. And there's also been the synchronicity of 808 coming out quite a bit. 808 is an angel number, and it means being on the right track. This just flipped up in the middle of the deck. We have the Knight of Wands here, holding that shepherd's staff. This is really about reeling in certain things here. This is about reeling in certain things that help us transport from one place to another in an instant, recognizing what are the things that really hold us back. What are the things that anchor us? What are the things that keep us in a fixed position? We need to hook those things up in order to get back to our true essence, and also to get really aligned with our vision for moving forward here. And when we do that, we find that we're not stuck in the same place we have been for what feels like forever. We're actually moving forward very suddenly. But that does require certain mindfulness, and it does require the necessity to be quite present in order to understand what are those things that keep getting me hooked up. What is that bait I keep taking that keeps reeling me in? We've been having these themes come in the downloads quite frequently. And it's important that we recognize this, because the journey we're about to set upon is one for quite a while, at least for the next year and a half. There's going to be things set in motion. Right now it was 8:08 on the clock when I said that. So you see, there's that synchronicity coming through. 8:08, you're on the right track. As long as you are continuing to be aware of what needs to get hooked up here to be cleared. Think of it more as like a Kartika Vajra, like the Kartika Vajra that Kali Ma holds, to cut away what no longer has a purpose, to hook up that which binds us in attachment and keeps us from truly moving into the expansion that's being asked of us now. You'll be on the right track, okay? And you'll find that the more you clear that blockage from your pathway, the more you move forward very swiftly, very cleanly. There's no doubt about the way you move forward here. You'll also find that you're very aligned with your fire. You have a sense of passion and you have a sense of purpose as you are moving forward here. Okay? So as I was out walking about, and I noticed, another dragon in the sky today, and I'll share some pictures with you all so you can see what I mean. I'm not sure if I will post them in the video or if I'll post them on the community board so you can really have a look at it. I might put a flash of them on the video. We'll see. But as I was looking at the sky, then my eye really got drawn to the sun that was in the process of setting. And it was such a contrast between shadow and light, the way it came in. And then right above the sun was Gabo, the room Gabo. And ironically, it was formed by a jet stream on one side and then clouds on the other. And I thought, ooh, that is so interesting, because it's like this intersection point. You can look at it one way. If you turn it on this side, it becomes like, you could say, a cross to bear, or it could be looked at as the crossroads. And when you look at it like this, it can be looked at something that is used as a defense, but it's more what it protects. And it was interesting to me, that jet stream sort of reference with the cloud, because it's like the technology and the nature, and how can these two things coexist? Because we can never go back to the dawn of time, back before the advancement of technology. It's not even realistic to look at that as a possibility for civilization moving forward. There has to be a way that technology can be integrated with our roots, that can actually be something that's progressive rather than being damaging to humanity, damaging to the environment. We're seeing a lot of that roll out here. It's going to continue to be an issue the more that we disregard the importance of really connecting with the earth and the necessity to preserve that foundation. If we don't have the earth as our foundation, then all of us are cooked here, okay? Crossing energy, justice. Yes, see, there's something we really need to balance out here. And with the bat medicine on the scene, rebirth depends on this. It is so essential. And that rebirth Venus energy will be coming in on August 6th, when she returns to where she's really at home, in the sign of Libra, all right? There's a lot that's rolling out during this next year and a half that is starting to come in now. And we know that what is so important with any journey that opens up is the way it starts. The way it starts, the foundation it starts on, the intention that we hold, and what we're focused on as we set out down this road. And that's why this lunar cycle is so significant. Also because it's wrapping up that whole period of the Ring of Fire that got ushered in on the 17th of February, that's leading us up to that new moon in Leo on the 12th, right? And there's so much that's going to be communicating to us about this at that time. So much that's going to be illuminated, because we have Mercury going into Leo on August 9th, okay? So a lot's getting lit up here. Communications getting lit up here. Which way to move is getting lit up here. There's connections we're making. We're forming a wider circle of community here. That's what's happening. That's what we're starting to step into. But in order to step into this rebirth cycle that is hinted at here with the bat symbolizes rebirth, symbolizes what is in the dark, but is still sensed, can still be located, can still be picked up through other senses that are being activated, which is fascinating when you look at Gabo, because Gabo is all about an amplification of your magical powers, your alchemical powers. Not only that, but it's also your magic, your alchemy, your intentions, the way you use your energy is having an effect, not only in this realm, but in the other world realms as well. So there's really an amplification that's happening here. And when there's an amplification, there's also a magnetizing force at play. This is important, okay? Very important. And we're really becoming aware of what we're working with here. It's all about how do we hold it though. And that's what's so important about this particular cycle. It is balancing the shadow and light. You can hold power, and there can be the initial seduction of, ooh, how can I use this? And you can use it in a way that is really destructive. Remember those choices that we have to weigh out here. Are we going to choose the hero's arc, or are we going to choose the villain's arc? You may say, oh, I would never choose the villain's arc. I would always choose the hero's arc, until something lands you in a spot where you're thrown into an unexpected quagmire and you have a very heavy decision to make. It's like a great big question mark hanging over your head, because there's some times where the lines, the distinctions between what's right, what's wrong can kind of bleed and merge into this kind of gray area. And so there will be these times where you'll really have to be called to have incredible discernment, really acting out of a place of wisdom, that wisdom you gained with Virgo in the South Node, having that light that lights your lantern for the road ahead to get you where you need to go. That's what you really need to cleave to, what you really need to hold tight to here, okay? It's very powerful message, very powerful message. And that's what Gebo also brings. It brings wisdom. And these gifts, a lot of these gifts that are being activated at this time are coming through our bloodlines. They're coming through gifts that we've forgotten, gifts that are being restored. But they can only be restored when we really tap our roots. There's going to be stories told of how the angels fell, people that were once in very high or holy places being exposed. Not all that glitters is gold. Not all is as it seems. So be careful what you idolize or what you put on a pedestal. This is really more about looking at things from a more even playing field, which can be a bit jarring for the senses, especially if your consciousness has been in an incredibly polarized place, okay? But if we can have this level of discernment, if we can develop a certain sight that can locate what's there, even though it may not be before our eyes, but we can lean into it, we can feel into it, then we'll be able to grok not only the wisdom of the past, but we'll also be able to navigate a pathway into the future, even as we root the foundation and our intention right now in the present. Got Libra and Aquarian energies coming in really strongly here to open things up, right? It's that Venusian energy coming in. It's also that North Node really activated with the shift there of the nodes of destiny. It is a major completion of a cycle, but it is in the crossing position. So this is a bridge we have to cross. So just as I noticed that, and I love how the runes always come in like that. They always come in when I'm in nature. They come in the clouds. They come in through tree branches. That's how they always come in. They come in with the way the light is casting. It's such a beautiful thing that nature has a way of communicating with us symbolically. And there's more of this kind of communication really coming through for all of us. And then right after, I was like having this big like epiphany moment coming through something so simplistic, which is how all the powerful moments come in for me. It's not something that most people would even perceive, because most people aren't fixated on that. They're looking for the fanfare. They're looking for the big awakening moment. And yet awakening is always here. It's always accessible, but you got to be able to recognize it. You can only see it if you're really rooted in the presence. And that's why presence cultivating practices are so powerful right now, like meditation, yoga, getting engaged in something like art that causes you to kind of like just lose yourself for a while. Get out of the head and get into your creative energy. It's a whole different flow, okay? Just as I was having this moment, right? I saw 7 sparrows fly in the sky toward the east. The east is the direction of eagle. The east is the direction of initiation. It is the point of inception, when something is drawn down from the ether and it gets activated in the consciousness. and how it's held in the consciousness determines how it continues forward in the cycle of manifestation. Now, sparrows are a psychopomp. They're viewed as a psychopomp in fairy tradition, and they're known as the keepers of ancestral keys. They hold that wisdom, they hold that knowledge, they unlock it within us. So they always bring a message. They are always communicating something about other world wanting to communicate with us or wanting to cross into our threshold. Now, this is where it's important to have discernment, because not all things from other world should be permitted entry. So do you see the way you have to be quite present as you move through this territory? There are shadow light elements in play, and there is some kind of particularly dicey terrain as we move up to that new moon. And as I say that, what do we got here? Yes, we got the 8 of Swords here. The 8 of Swords. What can get us caught up here? What we feed in our consciousness can get us caught up. What we feed in our consciousness can take us down into the depths of our waters, where we can become so embroiled and disoriented by everything that we're kicking up because we haven't dropped into our hearts, our souls enough, that we start bringing all that sediment, all that subconscious stuff to the surface, and it starts to cloud the waters. We can drown in those waters. There's that saying of what to one, the depths of one that is unfamiliar with that territory can seem very chaotic, very confusing, can drive you into this state of madness. But for one who's used to journeying, for one who is on a more shamanistic path or is more in direct communication with the anima mundi, the world soul, who's able to tap in on that level, that's nothing. You know, you can navigate those waters and you can work with them as a creative force. But this is when there's an imbalance, where there's too much focus in the brain, there's too many stories that are being told, there's too many grooves and particular neural pathways that keep things in a very circuitous sort of route. And that can drown us. It can really take us down. It can prevent our ship from reaching the distant shore. It can sink our ship, especially if we're going forward in a battleship. And just for that energy to come in, there might be something coming in on a macrocosmic level here. This particular cycle about the sinking of a battleship. That could be some significance here. This is really about understanding the seas, the voice of the seas, and the voice of the winds. It's about understanding the communication of what's on our minds, and maybe being a little bit more in a place of meditative focus before we just let things fly out of our mouths, to really understand what we're wanting to communicate, to really be able to decipher what we're picking up here, or even what we're interpreting when others are communicating with us. I think this is really important. And really understanding our own waters. What are we feeling emotionally? What are we feeling on a sensory level in general? What are we picking up here? And also, what's going on in our souls? What are we intuiting? This is really significant at this time. If we can be attuned to this, then it doesn't have to cause storms in our lives. Instead, it can be the source of what allows us to further life, expand on life, actually let ourselves take up more room in our own lives by entering this space of really having an awareness of the subtleties than just looking at things superficially. So you're gonna have to go a little bit deeper here as we move into this territory. It can't be just about us. It can't be about us thinking that it's all about what we want and that everything and everyone around us should just kind of acclimate to our desires. It will not work. We have to find a way to forge the road forward that makes room for others of differing perspectives, others who have different desires, and at the same time move forward in a harmonious way. This applies on a global level, but it also applies in our personal lives and how we're navigating the territory moving forward here. There is somebody here who would like to control your waters. There is somebody here who would like to control your winds. They would like to find a way to place it's coming through as like a well-placed thought in your head that can lead you into this sort of inner equilibrium where just as you started to find your footing, suddenly you have to get your sea legs again because the waters become rough, right? Very important that anytime you filter something into your consciousness that's communicated to you or is, this is very interesting, be aware of the subliminals too. Sometimes people communicate things to you in more subliminal ways as well, okay? It's really about being so tapped into your own energy that you understand where disruption is coming from. So you can kind of balance that out. And don't just balance it out, but truly work with it on an alchemical level while your alchemical powers are heightened at this time to ask yourself, what is this highlighting for me that I need to transmute? The fact that this has grabbed a hold of me, that it has taken my focus away from where I was really centered. This is so key at this time, okay? Now, the number 7 is a very spiritual number, but it also evokes that quality for me of the Chariot. And we do have Mars moving into Cancer on August 11th, the day before the new moon, total solar eclipse in Leo. So yeah, there's a lot happening here. Page of Pentacles, we're learning a lot here in this cycle. We do have Taurus and Chiron at this time. So this is work for the long road ahead to get properly aligned. Got the Page of Pentacles, what we're learning here as we embrace these lessons that Chiron brings us in Taurus about our own sense of self-worth. That's really what is being driven home here. And it's interesting because Sparrow also brings that message in of having a real strong sense of self, knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing your gifts that you do hold, as well as being able to recognize those within others as well. But it's not about sacrificing yourself for others' comfort either. So there's a real balancing out that's happening here. And it is all about really understanding what anchors us in the South Node that prevents our star from rising into that North Node expression. And really doing that work here. Doing that work, hammering things out, doing a little of that soul smithing, so we can see things very clearly. There will be more messengers coming in through birds. Birds may appear that normally would be considered more predatory sort of birds, but they're coming in as tame for you. This could be coming through as very powerful synchronicity for some. I'm hearing that are meant to be way showers, so really thinking of all of those predatory birds like hawk and eagle, you know, those that are able to really mark their territory. I'm also picking up a lot of energy with crow too, okay, because crows can sometimes seem like almost foreboding messengers, but if you're friendly with crow really will bring you gifts. Makes me think of Gabo again. Gabo is all about gifts. Crow can bring gifts too. Crow is the medicine of karmic law, as well as spiritual law, higher law. So there might be something about this coming in about birds that are normally seen as more predatory, or birds that you have to be, aware of, being more tame around you, coming in, wanting to come closer, wanting you to work with their medicine a little bit. For those of you who are way showers, I'm hearing this pretty strongly here, okay? You might even receive a gift from a crow, okay? That could be a clue for some of you. I do feel like you're coming into alignment with good familiars during this cycle. People who see your worth, and you see the value of the connection too. It feels good. It feels good to connect with these people. It feels like a real solid mutual investment. I also feel like there's a lot of good familiars you're finding in nature. So the more that you can get out in nature, the more you can connect with these intermediaries between spirit and man that allow this communication to be facilitated. And a lot of that communication, it does come in through other knowing, and that just simply implies that you have the ability to understand that everything that you encounter in life is in communication with you, and it's all part of that one great energy that is within each and every one of us and everything we see. So that is that kind of I am, or unity consciousness, really coming through at the forefront here. Let's see. Seven of Swords in reverse. As long as you stay centered in these lessons and the wisdom you hold, as long as you stay anchored within your energy and recognize what isn't yours, what should not cross your threshold, you're going to avoid any kind of trickery, any kind of subterfuge, any kind of suspect situations, because you will have learned to value your own interpretation of what you're experiencing, rather than brushing it off and valuing somebody else's take over your own. This is essential. So important. So important. And there's something really interesting coming through here about, you may have knowledge of evil. Like, you may have really already decided what forces are working against you, or who you can't trust, or what's a real negative influence in your life, or what is a really destructive habit you have, or some kind of thought pattern you continually hold that you do need to catch up here and really pull out by the roots so it doesn't sabotage you moving forward. You've identified what's evil. Can you identify what's good? Can you identify what's good? Because it's so important that you're able to identify that. The light-giving sources that are around you. The people who can match your light. The people who have also made their shadows conscious. People who've done the work. They can meet you in this space. If you can't meet yourself in that space where you can hold it in equilibrium, you cannot expect to meet others in that space who can share that power with you there. So there's something about this, about needing to identify what's right under your nose is the way it's coming through. X marks the spot, I'm hearing. The more that you come into the gifts that are your birthright, the gifts that are awakening through you at this time, gifts that do come through your ancestral bloodline, the more that you are going to be able to be very clear about where you should be directing your focus, the more that you will start to become aware of what's actually good. What's a blessing? What's to be grateful for? That's how you start to feed more of the creative rather than the destructive force. Because there is something that hasn't been seen here. And that's what may be keeping you in, not for all of you, but for some of you, you're really struggling to release anger. You feel like your anger has a hold of you. And there's something about needing to shift the focus away for a bit from what's had you so riled up to focus on what's actually good. That can start to allow a softening to happen here. It can allow your heart center, Anahata, your heart chakra, to clear some blockages that can start to open you up so you can start to release some of these pressurized emotional states that have been held within too long. It's almost like you're in this seized position. It's like a holding pattern here, okay? And that's something that really is as simple as just shifting your focus for a little bit. When you catch yourself focusing on something that makes you angry, can you shift it a little bit? Sparrow is also connected to the goddess Breed. She presides over that cauldron of creation. She invokes Awen, the spirit of the muse, of creativity. So there's this spark of the muse that's being lit within you right now. But just like Prometheus, you're not meant to stay in the cave with that. It's meant to be cathartic. You're meant to emerge from the cave and you're meant to share that fire, that brilliance with the world. This is what's going to affect change. The revolution is really going to come through creatively. It really is going to come through on so many levels that involve the arts, bringing people together around the arts, really having a more creative mindset when it comes to addressing the problems that we face in the world today. So there's a lot of you that are having your gifts come through, creativity you hold, and the way that that's meant to be expressed, the way it's meant to be activated now moving forward. It's really a beautiful energy that is coming through here. And the beautiful thing about this energy and Breed as well is that it's going to stir within us this clever, wily, crafty kind of spirit that allows us to really protect the hearth, to protect our home. And when I think of home, I think of coming back home to our hearts, coming back home to ourselves, to our own sense of belonging. And then you expand that even further, the home being the earth, protecting the earth, and then the home being the home that we live in, the home where we lay our head at night, and really drawing the warmth into that space is very beneficial for us at this time. So these are like balancing points. These are ways that we can really get ourselves rooted here as we move through this lunar cycle and set the strong foundation for the road ahead, the next year and a half here, as we go through another expression, a fixed expression of the nodes of destiny. We've been in immutable expression, so this is quite a shift. Now we have some crossing energy that is coming out in reverse. We got that Chinese finger trap symbolism coming through here that is creating blockages as this new road opens up for all of us, this pathway of the Fool that wants to come in. Again, bird messengers will give you signs about which way the wind blows, okay? You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows when you're in touch with nature. Get out there. You'll see the signs. All of nature will communicate with you. And you'll have a depth of understanding about what is communicated to if you allow yourself to enter into more of that musing spirit rather than over intellectualizing it. Just trust your perceptions, and that does require getting back to that 0 point, the beginner's mind of the Fool, like you had when you were a child, where you could make believe and everything had a deeper meaning than what would be evident on the surface. This is what we really need to retrieve, because that is the seed of magic, having that sort of beginner's mind, that sense of purity, that pure consciousness, where you're not infected with the mind virus, where you're able to see things spontaneously and trust the way they inspire you. This is so essential, this kind of understanding that we're developing here. And when we develop that kind of understanding with our consciousness, then our intellect serves us. It's able to fuse with our waters. We understand the voice of our waters. We understand our intuition more deeply. And then we build a bridge from the head to the heart. And that is the way through. Then we understand where the path is. We harmonize with the medicine of the pathfinder, of the wolf. And we know where that new moon is asking us to go. We're understanding the path that's unfolding before us here. We have the answers of things to come. But see, as long as we stay in that place where it's the blame game and we're focused more on what we feel is an injustice or what we feel is wrong or what we feel is evil, and we're putting all of our energy there, then it's just like being stuck in this no-win position. And the harder you try to extricate from that sort of holding pattern, the more you're susceptible, through trying to control this kind of back and forth power play dynamic. The more you try to control this, the more entrenched it becomes. The more you struggle to free yourself from a Chinese fire trap. That's interesting. Well, it is the fire. It's the trapped fire. It's the aggression. It's the frustration. It's the anger about injustice. The more that we stay there, which is important, okay? I do think it's important. Let's just say that, okay? This is not about spiritually bypassing any intense emotions that need to be looked at and understood. It's not about feeling in any way that you're operating out of the shadow if you feel a righteous sense of rage in relation to the injustices that are going on in the world. But what it does mean is that the more you kind of stay there, the more it continues to feed the energy, the more you get kind of locked in this energetic pattern that's difficult to free yourself from, because you're more focused on trying to change something that's outside of you than transforming yourself and lending your creative energy to create transformation in a truly cathartic way. And so the holding pattern remains. You free yourself from a Chinese finger trap by relaxing. It's like the harder you try to free yourself from it, the more it holds its grip on you, okay? So there's something about really letting go of the struggle at this time. If you can let go of the struggle, if you can let go of trying to control others, if you can let go of focusing on somebody else getting their justice for the way they did you wrong, okay? You're going to find that hidden treasure. Only then are you going to be made aware of these gifts that you already hold, and these gifts that are really starting to quicken within you and introduce themselves to you on your path. And some of those gifts are coming through this guidance that you need, this guidance that is trying to highlight to you where you need to go, what your next move needs to be, right? Mars in Cancer, that's the fire merging with the water there. It can be a tempering kind of energy. This is very positive, the way these energies are starting to come in here. Mercury moving into Leo is going to give us an ability to really understand what needs to be communicated, because it's going to shine a light on it for us. And it's also going to help us to see where others are coming from too, and to be able to kind of take more of a risk to bring something that we may have held in for a long time forward in a way that we now understand a better way to communicate it or get it across, as well as we can more see another's point of view, all right? But it's really important to temper that and make sure that it's not just about what you have to say or your position, but really being able to look through the lens of the other as well. That's the challenge in this situation, okay? And the more you try to prove your point and not even be willing to receive another perspective, the more difficult that can be. Yeah, and right here we have the sun, see, crossing in reverse though, all right? With that Six of Pentacles that came in with the Chinese finger traps. Like, how do we balance this out between what I want and what's good for everybody? How do I balance this out where I don't get in these conflicted spaces where I'm so busy pointing the finger at others that I never use Fraggle the answer, or that sort of truth, to point its tip at myself and ask myself, what do I need to do to balance out here? That is really important at this time. The more you can look at yourself when you do feel like going into the blame mode, the more you will uncover these gifts. I'm telling you, the more you focus here, the more everything out there shifts. And this is what needs to be illuminated. This is the judgment that needs to come through. It's pretty wild, because even these angels here, the way their trumpets are crossing, are forming gabo. So yes, judgment about your gifts. It's only when you're able to see your gifts through this lens that has to come through a certain level of self-mastery and transformation will you be able to rejuvenate your life. This is what will protect you from your adversaries. It's what will protect you from anything that you feel could overgrow, take over your path, and just give you nothing but brush that you have to find your way to kind of clear the road of here. There's really something that needs to be understood from a different perspective. And I do feel after that eclipse comes in, the lights come on in the room, right? When we look at eclipses, they always go back to the previous eclipse. There's something major getting wrapped up in the storyline there. So you got to look back around February 17th, where you were at that time, what was going on, what were you feeling, whatever that was, it's coming to its culmination point. And this is also the start of eclipse season. So get ready for more of this to come down the pike, where we're wrapping up old cycles and we're starting new paths. But there's still things, you know, as we enter into the new cycle here that we don't see, because that's the nature of stepping into the new. It's not all planned out. You have to move with the flow as it presents itself, okay? And I want to go ahead and do a cut of the deck here. 3 of Wands. Look at that. And that reminds me, when we dropped in for some magical time last on a portal report, we were talking about that key that unlocks those pillars of the 4-leaf clover: hope, faith, trust, and a little luck and prosperity. And it was funny because I got back after being on my walk and having all of these different signs come in that were communicating to this collective energy that we're moving into. And I went and I did my dishes, and as I was setting the dishes aside and I was preparing to dry them, when I went to go and pick up the plate to dry it off, a 3-leaf clover had appeared in the plate. And it made me laugh because it made me think of that download and the 4-leaf clover. And I said, oh, well, we're missing a leaf here. So maybe there's something that we don't got here. And I was like, well, maybe we're going to have the renewed faith. We're going to have the renewed trust. Maybe we're retrieving a little bit of hope here, but maybe we feel like we don't got the luck yet. And I kind of thought that was just a little bit of a humorous message that was coming in. And then I went to go and after I did the dishes and I dried everything off, I went to go and move a curtain. And when I moved a curtain, there was this container that toppled over that I had pens in and all kinds of stuff in. And when I saw what was laying on the ground, there was this circle, this white circle was laying on the ground face down. I was like, what's that? And I turned it over and it was a sticker, lucky break. And there is the fourth leaf. So this actually was gifted to me from a dear broad I know, Saturn. Saturn, ironically. Boy, we really are learning the lessons of Saturn retrograde. Okay, that's really coming through. I purchased one of their candles that they make, Legacy, and this was included in my package. The Sharpest Teeth, they have a business, The Sharpest Teeth. They also have a channel here on YouTube as well. They do tarot readings too. So I've had Saturn on before. We did a broadcast together here. So I just thought that was so interesting that the message would come through Saturn with Saturn retrograde and really moving through that energy until December. But it seems like there's something that's going to come in this lunar cycle. It may appear a little messy, or it may appear like you dropped the ball, or something's gone awry, or it seems a little complicated. It seems a little topsy-turvets, as we would say in fairy. And you know, the topsy-turvets, you know, they bring lessons that are a little bit complicated. It's a bit like undressing a salad. You know what I mean? It's like when you have a big salad and you're trying to figure out what dressing to put on it, that's the easy part. But if you've already topped your salad with a particular dressing and all the little accoutrements, all the cranberries, the dried cranberries, and the different nuts and all the add-ons, the croutons, anything else you want, it's a lot more challenging if you change your mind to take the dressing off of the salad and all those little add-ons you put in. So I think there's something like this going on here where you add in some things on, or maybe you thought you wanted, you know, a certain element in the mix, and there's something here that you're looking at and you're like, oh man, it feels like it's a big mess. How do I get this back to the start? I would do it differently this time. And there's something like there's a lucky break coming in here, okay, that makes that possible. But in order to spot the lucky break, you have to let go. You have to be able to trust that there's forces at work that are busy, very busy with the construction of the universe at this time. And it's all going down on the quantum field. It's all coming into form here. And it may seem impossible for you to pull this off, but you absolutely got support for these great works. And you're covered, remember? We got that message. That came in with the ancestral message. It's being echoed again. You are covered. You have protection from anything that would oppose you. So where you think, how am I going to pull this off? How am I going to get around these challenges? I got all these different elements in play, all these things that overcomplicate my situation, overcomplicate my life. How am I going to find a way through? Very easily, very decisively, very swiftly with the Knight of Swords. This always evokes this Archangel Michael energy for me, especially because there's like this shield that's over the heart. We've got the sword here. This is about really recognizing intellectual richness when you're able to channel your consciousness and really focus it in a way that is progressive rather than working against you by tying you up in knots of confusion in the Eight of Swords. This is about decisiveness. You're going to be able to really develop the clear thinking that's needed to preserve what you're growing at this time. You will be able to navigate something that seems complicated, actually quite simplistically. When you get out of the machinations of the mind, it's really about harnessing the powers of the mind. So please, in whatever way you can, pick up some kind of focusing practice, meditative practice, whatever it may be. It can be really beneficial. And there's many ways that you can enter into that stream of consciousness. Even gardening, you know, you can really enter that focused place of consciousness. When you bring your full self, you can bring meditative focus into anything you do. When you bring your full awareness into that moment, whether you're cooking or cleaning, or even if you're at work doing the day-to-day grind, there's a way you can bring conscious awareness to it, okay? So there's something here where you are dealing with frustrating situations where people are behaving immaturely. There's forces coming in here that are going to make sure that that gets reeled in, and there will be a way to navigate that territory without further complication. I do feel like there's some lessons coming through that are going to make people grow up real fast. That's really how it is being expressed. I'm doing another cut here. Why? Look, it looks like that shield really grew. Look at that. King of Pentacles. Absolutely. The treasure will be preserved. I see you're going to be very effective in the way you cut through what's been confusing, because you're really going to be more trusting and obedient to your own soul's directive rather than being swayed by what's happening outside of you. And it's going to bring you into a time of peace and harmony. And you may think it's impossible, but in some situations where you really are meant to hash things out with another, there's the ability to calm anger in the situation and find a way through to, if not agree, at least agree to disagree and bury the hatchet, which is a step in the right direction, right? And I think that has to do with a particular slippery element that is still here, kind of keeping an eye on things. Page of Swords, something that's in need of transformation. Do be aware. It can be a quality within yourself. It can be something within you that you haven't become aware of yet. But it certainly can be with others that have proven challenging to you. Others who are still trying to get the upper hand. So you are dealing with a situation where there is a little bit of this dynamic where I think if another had their way, they would like to get you back into this push-pull power dynamic, going tit for tat, because there's an energy harvesting that happens there, right? So be aware of that. It's important that you change these dynamics. There's a lot of reconciliations that are going to be coming through at this time. Some reconciliations will be with friends, those that are meant to move forward with you. Some will be with those that are not interested in finding any kind of balancing point. They just want to win. That's what I'm hearing. These are competitive forces. So I think it's important for that to really be understood. I do want to get one round from the Tarot of the Dragons here, since the dragon energy came through, and see what the dragon energy is wanting to communicate to us. Dragons are always on the scene to help protect treasure, right? And that treasure are the gifts that you hold and the gifts that you're ready to become aware of here. So let's just get some details. Maybe the dragons are coming in to let us know about a lucky break, trying to really highlight that for us. Because the lucky break is the key to finding our treasure. Okay. I could see how that sort of intersects there. So let's see what's coming through. What do you want us to know? What do the dragons want us to know? What do they want to impart to us? Let's see, what do the dragons want to impart to us about the journey up to the North Node? Let's put the focus there, since we are talking about this, about shifting the focal point orientation. Let's look at the light building first, okay? What does the head of the dragon have to say to us? What do we need to ingest at this time? What do we need to take in at this time? Well, we need to further digest the ending of an old cycle that should have been laid to rest a long time ago. Something about not properly digesting and eliminating this into the tail of the dragon, the South Node, is what will create a pattern of repeat towers in our lives, okay? So for those of you who feel like you keep going through repeat towers, and it's a disruptive force, there's something here that it's like you're still singing over the bones. You're still singing over what harmed you, what hurt you, what left you with this feeling of really being down for the count. It's very difficult to rise when you're so fixated in that holding pattern. And this has been there for a long time. So if you are in that space, it's so important that you recognize it's time for me to really digest this. I cannot continue to hold on to this because it's holding me back and it's creating more awakening moments, more disruptive towers in my life to try to snap me out of what has woven a spell over my consciousness. It's like having your soul fragmented and still very much attached to a space and time in the past that creates these repeat patterns of disruption in an effort to wake you up out of your sleepwalking. 1:00:33 on the clock. As soon as you see it, the road opens up for you. Helpful forces come in. You're no longer in indecision or confusion. You let that shit go. You find the way through and you raise your wand like the magician. You transform your reality. You become aware of what you already hold. Okay, there's something from the past that really needs to be completely digested and eliminated, all right? That's what the dragons are saying here. If you want to really step into the North Node, tell us more about the head of the dragon. What needs to be ingested? What do we need to take in here to secure the treasure of the North Node? Fell away, hiding. Look at that. Wow. There's the Fool. Yeah, see, there's something here. There's something here that is still hanging out on the periphery that could disrupt your focus, could cause you to look off to the side when you need to be very focused on what's up ahead here. Because there's a leap of faith that's required of you. And there is something here that it does require you're in it, you know, that you have the endurance to be in it for the long haul when you take this leap, because it is your rose. It's the sweetness of the bloom. It requires you to finally be able to digest the thorns that kept you in that holding pattern for so long and really take your focus off of this. See, this has a much smaller influence than this present moment and this leap of faith that's being asked of you. Got really big Aquarian energy coming through here. This is about having the endurance and resilience you need for the road ahead. But you're going to have a bit of a slip if you get distracted when it comes time for the sleep. It almost gives me the impression of like a chasm. And in order to really be able to make this leap of faith, you have to be so focused on landing the mark. Everything depends on it, so you don't fall into the chasm that kind of takes you back into the South Node energy. So it's sort of like dismounting. I don't know why I'm seeing it like that, but it's reminding me of gymnastics, you know, or tumbling. You know, when you're dismounting, you have to have a point of focus. If you got distracted by somebody in the crowd that's watching you take the leap, it's disastrous. You could get seriously hurt. And that's what I feel like this is. Yeah, 8 of Cups, bottom of the deck. They really want you to become aware of this. The dragons are saying by the time we reach that new moon in Leo, you really need to understand that this is something that you can no longer focus on. It needs to be digested. All of your energy needs to come into the present and where you're going. Because you already hold the rose. You already hold the sweetness of the bloom. You're just not aware of it yet. Because there's something that's a little bit distractionary hanging out here. You need to redirect your focus from that. Okay. Anything else in relation to this, dragons? The North Node. 5 of Swords. Yeah, it's really talking about the focus on what betrayed you will cause you to lose your power, and it will take your journey off course. All right? And you see, you had that really empowered King of Pentacles energy, but now it's like losing the shield and also losing your truth because of focusing on whatever this is that's off to the side there. You've got to stay focused on where you're going. Really essential. Let me do a cut of the deck on this and then I'll ask about the South Node. 6 of Swords. Look at all the messages. See, and here you are. You're taking the leap. You can only take the leap when you send those troubles away, when you finally let go. Then you can send those things to the other world. You can let the cycle of life go through its completion in a metaphorical lay. You can, in a metaphorical lay, interesting, in a metaphorical lay. Metaphorical lay. Why do I have the impression of somebody making a lay, almost as, it's giving me an interesting impression. Let me see if I can find her. It's giving me an impression of a form of Kali here. Like acknowledging that if you are able to pass this test, you receive this metaphorical lay of acknowledgement of your initiation into the new cycle. It's like a successful completion that moves you into the creative energy of the Shakti, of the feminine, the creative life force energy activation that's currently kind of bound up or tied up in something that's been fed too long in the consciousness. Well, we have it here. This is not what I was thinking of, but this is the first imagery that came through. I'm going to take it because it does feel very accurate to where we're at. Dharma of Kali, you see? It's like the balancing point between the shadow and light. It's only when you're in this place where you really come into the present moment, where the shadow and light, where past and future are held in inner equilibrium, that you are able to actually find the way through with that razor sharp focus. It's almost giving me the impression of that sword of truth just really being lined up within you. And look at that, like crescent moon. There's like this jewel to be found there that lights up the vision ahead. And what's on the other side of completing the old cycle, releasing what has come to an end, is you receiving this lay, this acknowledgement of graduation. And this reminds me a lot, this jewel here, this crowning jewel reminds me a lot of the kumkum, the red sandalwood that often gets placed on Ajna, the third eye, when you successfully integrate a wisdom, a teaching, when you successfully navigate an initiation. And it does come in with the energy of 37, the Wheel of Fortune. So you move into that creative expression that is the Empress. It's able to move forward in the Chariot. You find the pathway that allows you to bring forward all of the wisdom, all of the lessons of the past, and the empowerment that was gained there, and the gifts it bestowed upon you, and recognizing them, and the blessings they bring in the future to find the pathway through. That is wild, the way that came in. And on the other side, look at that. 10 of Swords. It's coming in so strongly. It is coming in so strongly. And with the 10 of Swords to the 5 of Swords, that's 15. That is the devil you're facing off with here. It's continuing to sing over these bones, lament over these bones, to not digest it. It's like really being highlighted. The dragon energy is coming through to say, you already hold the rose. You already got it. But you can't see it because you're still singing over the bones. It's time to digest it because your road is calling for your strength, your focus, and your determination to be able to have the fuel for the fire, what's needed for the road ahead, to endure it. Ooh, okay. We're in that liminal space. We're in that liminal space. We're just really meant to hold that line where we hold the shadow and light and balance here. Okay. Feed both of your wolves. Be aware of what's hanging out in your subconscious, but consciously engage the way you bring your focus to the future by the thoughts you're actively holding, by the words you speak, by the actions you take. Okay, it all counts right now. Get yourself aligned. And let's see, tell us what we need to know about the South Node. What do we need to know? What does the tail of the dragon have to teach us? The tail of the dragon in Leo. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? Tell us about the tail of the dragon. Knight of Wands. Yeah, it's really like you need to evacuate that quickly. It was 1:11:08 on the clock. Yes, to have the strength you need for the road ahead, to get your fire back so you can bring your fire forward, to bring balance and justice into your life. You have to be able to reclaim your fire from where it's been dissipated. It's like it's getting snuffed out by too much focus on old things, matters from the past. It needs to be cleared out to bring your fire forward. Okay. Wow. Look at this. It's all freaking fire. I'm not even kidding. That's crazy. Look at that Page of Wands coming through. Yes. This is the inception point. Only when you let that shit go are you going to have the fire put back in your hands. And that comes in. You see, this is what's waiting. It's crossing, but it's in reverse. We got this Ace of Wands. So you need not only your discernment and that sword of truth that gives you the answers you need to cut you free from what's been a holding pattern in your consciousness. You need to also be able to let the old issues go, something that you've just been gnawing on, like a dog with a bone, in order to reclaim your fire. I mean, that could be more clear. It all came out fire. All came out fire. Wow. Let's do cut of the deck on that. See what we got. Knight of Pentacles. And see, then you'll have what you need to be able to finally invest in what takes you up to your North Node. You'll start the journey. You'll move forward steadfastly. And I love that the stag is on the scene there, coming on through. And on the other side, we have the Page of Cups. Okay, so this is really important, this message coming in here, because it's showing this image of self-reflection. And over here we have this crane coming in, and cranes are all about grace. And there's something here about being aware of being in that space where you reflect on yourself for so long that it moves out of a place of constructiveness into a place of narcissism. It reminds me of Narcissus, who becomes so enamored with his own reflection. You know, there's this challenge that we have to move through at this time with the shifts and the nodes, that it really is about looking beyond just our own navel and considering others, considering all of humanity at this time, moving more into that Aquarian mindset, the collective consciousness, a communal consciousness, okay? And this is really recognizing that we each hold a piece of this. So there's something that's coming in here like an act of grace to say it's really time to let this go, because you've been focusing too much on your own emotional experience and how you feel in a situation and what you desire, and it's preventing you from actually receiving the grease. Is this the Holy Grail? Has self-reflection and processing and doing all the inner work become a bit of the Holy Grail? Has that become a bit of the machinations of the machine? Has there actually been something that's bypassed the soul here, and it's more driven? It's more driven by the mind and its designs than it really is coming from a true place of integration, growth, awareness. Because that groil energy wanted to come in, the grit, grime, and the oil. It's like there's something here that needs to be cleansed away. And it's too much reflection on the self. You got to be careful of that. With Leo in the South Node, it can move into egocentricity, right? But you see, if you're focused on yourself here, look at what you're looking at. The cup spills. I never noticed that before. The cup spills. It's no longer an Ace of Cups, it's spilled. The Ace of Cups has to be more of this like spirit of the cauldron of Dagda. It's something that is an inexhaustible source of nourishment. It never depletes. There's enough for everybody. So yeah, I could see this too as like a kind of like competitive mindset. Or in some cases, when we think of a Page of Cups, the Page of Cups is often bringing forward an invitation, but this is like offering something, giving something, coming forward in a friendly manner, but just to work somebody to get what you want for yourself, okay? Be aware of these patterns. Be aware of what comes forward as a manipulation, a subtle manipulation as well. This can be something you see in others, but always remember, any tricky situations you're dealing with others, ask yourself, is there some part of myself I'm seeing here? What is this activating for me that I'm not aware of within myself that's being highlighted by what I'm noticing in this other person here that's getting to me? Yeah, it's like not being able to see that there's an opportunity to reclaim your power and to bring like a rejuvenation into your life by being too focused on the self. It's preventing from being able to receive this treasure here with the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, that's a pretty strong message coming through there. Right. Okay, I'm going to dive in a little deeper now. I think Ted might need to come in for a minute. Just a second here. I think he needs to go outside and relieve himself. You need a potty? Yeah? Okay. Ted's working with the tail of the dragon. Says time to let that shit go. All right, Ted. Do your business. We're going to dive into individual reads here for each of the fixed signs. I think that's a pretty thorough download for the collective here. Gives a lot of food for thought, a lot to digest. And I feel really called to, because of the North Node being in Aquarius, I really feel called to bring in the Arcane BS deck for the fixed signs. So view these 4 separate gateways that come through these fixed signs as being portals of initiation. And even if you don't have a strong Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Taurus placement in your chart, you can also look at what house you have a lot of activity in. Maybe you have a lot of activity in your 5th house of Leo. Maybe you have a lot of activity going down in your 8th house of Scorpio, or your 11th house of Aquarius, or your 2nd house of Taurus. I suggest that if that's the case, you can clue into that particular sign's read, okay? You could also go by anywhere that you got a really prominent fixed transit going on right now. This could really speak to you as you open up to this energy, this lunar cycle, or maybe you are dealing with a fixed sign. Choose a pile there. So even if you don't have a strong placement, you can still work with this energy. I'm going to shuffle this up real good, and then I'm going to divide it into those 4 portals. And let me let Mr. Ted back out here. Good boy. Hey, Ted. Hey, are you done? Teddy, did you go? Okay. He can't make up his mind. You know, he always comes in when he's meant to like deliver a message, expand on the message. He is my fetch. So if somebody can't decide if they want in or if they want out. They can't make up their minds. Like they got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Somebody needs to make a choice, okay? I think this is still like a little collective energy coming in. I think it's the expression of the fixed energy. Should I stay or should I go? It's a little bit of a clash. It's a little bit of the clashing of wills there, okay? Head over heart decision, you know, should I trust my head? Should I trust my heart? You should fuse the both together to arrive at an instinctual point of inner knowing, you know? Both have value, right? Both have value. It's about finding the balance between the two to really set your sights on the correct choice for you at this time. All right, so shuffling for the fixed signs, for portals of initiation and transformation during this lunar cycle. Shuffling for Leo, Scorpio. Okay, let me let him out. All right, baby. He's a good boy. Okay, go lay down, baby. Aquarius and Taurus. That message could be coming in really strongly for Scorpio. If you have strong Scorpio placements, strong Scorpio transits going on, you could be dealing with somebody who's not sure if they want to stay or they want to go. You could be feeling that way. You could feel really conflicted. Maybe there's something you still need to let go. You decide what gets the attention in your life, okay? Maybe you need to dim the light on something so you can shine a light in another direction to bring more clarity, right? That just coming in. All right. Here we go. I'm going to start from the last, going back to the first in line for the read. So, first cut here for Taurus. Okay. Next cut here for Aquarius. Okay. This next cut will be for Scorpio, and then the top of the deck will be for Leo. Right? Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus. You could also align with a particular number, and we'll do that by houses. So 5, 8, 11, or 2. All right, so if you've been having synchronicities come in those numbers, that could speak to you too, tuning into it in that way. All right, I'm going to dive right in. This is going to be real simple with these reads, since opening up for the collective energy. It was already reading really deeply into the fixed sign energy, but also how it communicates to all of us regardless of our sign. But we're going to look at the bottom of the deck, and we're going to look at the top of the deck, and then we'll do a split. And I'm going to read off of that. So we got Leo coming in at 1:24:21 on the clock. Leo, something has been completed. A karmic cycle has been completed. As soon as you take care of the last details with wrapping something up, you will move into the next cycle, which promises success for you. There will also be some kind of expansion on offer when you step through this gateway of transformation after closing something out. Your energy forward really strongly. I think there's something that you're going through right now where you're really transforming how you're perceived by other people. You're showing up in the world in a different way, and your energy is coming forward in a more authentically rooted way than it has in perhaps a very long time. For some of you, more so than it ever has at any point in your life. This may have been at one point very exposing feeling, and there's something here that it really does become an empowerment for you. Some of you are going to go somewhere, you're going to go on a trip. Somewhere you go on a trip, it changes your worldview. It changes what you see as being possible for you. It creates some major transformation in your life, may even introduce you to a new community of people, people that are star mates, people that will play a big role in this next chapter of your life that is opening up now. You will be required to take action, though. This is not a passive cycle for you. It does really require that you step into your power, that you take some kind of action to bring your fire forward, to align with what is truly in harmony with your drive, your passion, your sense of purpose, and invoke your will and your focus to bring the best of yourself to the table with this. And do be a team player. Make sure with your energy hanging out in the South Node that you do include others in whatever you're forging here, that you don't make it all about yourself, your own desires. You have to learn how to work with others in order to be able to transmute a lot of that South Node energy that you're going to be navigating. But I do feel like you have successfully completed one chapter of your life, and now you're starting to enter into a new cycle here after you finish a couple things. And this may be that quality of undressing the salad I was talking about, okay? Yeah, bottom of the deck here. I think there's something you need to close out with, a particularly grabby influence here, something that maybe has been feeding off your energy. This could be a romantic partner here. We do have sex, witch, and octopus, okay? So octopus energy is very much connected to goddess energy. It's connected to creativity. There's also that quality that when octopus feels threatened, it will shoot out that ink, okay? And that can create sort of like a little bit of a haze where you can't see something clearly. So you may be dealing with a situation, it feels like it's probably coming from some kind of intimate connection here. It could even be from an old lover that still is having some kind of pull, some kind of energetic pull, maybe even coming from the sacral chakra, you know, that is just siphoning off of your energy or is not allowing you to really fully come into your own empowerment here. It doesn't have to be with a lover, but there is strong indications here. There may be something that you need to pull out at the root. Some of you have done cord cutting work. I don't really like cord cutting, and I'll tell you why I don't like cord cutting. It's not thorough. You know, if you just cut a cord, you're still leaving like the roots of the cord within your space, even if it's severed it from its, you know, feeding source. There's something about really getting something out by the root, maybe even from your root. Maybe you need to do a little look at the root chakra and your sacral chakra here and clear out some energy there, really pull it out from the root, extract it in order to take up this space Find your own rooting, find your own stability, really come back into your creative center here. Something that needs to be done definitively. I feel like this protects your energy. There's also something here about protecting your own consciousness, like not allowing somebody to get a hold of your consciousness, feed you with all kinds of fanciful ideas. Maybe they are putting a little bit of a smoke screen before you here in the form of self-defense, because if you saw who they really were and what they were really up to, what they were really after, you would cut this energy off with a quickness, okay? This could be somebody who's done some work on you too. There could be a little bit of this at play. We can't ignore that witch aspect here, all right? So it may be time to even work with your own magic to clear this energy out, all right? Not directing it at anybody in particular, but really focusing on yourself and using your own alchemical powers to transmute your energy centers by recognizing what's lodged there that's not yours and exorcising it, okay? I feel like that's something that's really important. It's coming through for you very strongly. Once you do this, it will protect your north node and it will allow you to move into a more gentle expression of your energy. There may be times that you've even come off like a little bit combative in the past, I think because you have been dealing with an invasive kind of energy here, an invasive force in your life that made you feel like you had to be ready for battle. But there's something here about as soon as you extract this energy from you that you recognize, no, that's not me, that's something I've taken on. I feel like it will allow you to finally like get back into your own kind of essence here and not have to have such a strong kind of aggressive front. It allows a different quality of energetic expression to start to come through for you that will work to your advantage, okay? And then top of the deck, yeah, I mean, there's something you're nurturing here that's severely outdated. You got a woman breastfeeding a VCR. It's like you're nourishing something that's old. It's old, it's outdated. And it doesn't really serve you for where you're going here. You might be like seeing old tapes play out, you know, in your mind. The retrograde cycle might have really thrown you into a deep wave of nostalgia. You might be nurturing those memories. In some cases, I'm hearing because you feel like they were the best times of your life. There's something about not recognizing that as long as you continue to put focus on something being the best time in your life, you've already limited the possibilities for your future. What if the best times in your life are ready to get rooted right here and now, but unfortunately all of your creative energy and all of your focus is going to something that is not there anymore? It's sort of like feeding a mirage. Your nurturing is needed for yourself right now. Your nurturing is needed for what really is ready to come forward in you, you know? There's some way that you're still kind of like feeding something that's really outdated, and there's a transformation that needs to come through to change this dynamic. This is interesting. There's something in between here. I want to do a cut of the deck. So this is like a little bit of a wild card element. I'll see what that is. But yeah, it's like you've labeled this thing. It's like some kind of dark force, okay? And it's what you're used to. So you're just used to kind of going on autopilot with whatever this is. You keep focusing on this. It's all you can see is something that's been somewhat of a dark force. It's a shadowy influence with the moth medicine here, but the moth always comes through to say this is your opportunity to finally transform this. And in transforming it, you get to reclaim your creativity. I can't show it here, but what's here is a vulva, and we do see that there's something that wants to be created. There's something that wants to be birthed here, but it's being destroyed even as it's trying to transform, because there's this focus on something that's a destructive force. there's a need to go through the fire that is the truth that you've already seen in this situation. And in some cases, okay, I'm going to bring it through because that's the way it's coming through. It's coming through as kind of like Captain Save-A-Ho kind of energy. Like, you've already seen something for what it is. You keep thinking maybe if you nurture it enough, if you give enough of yourself to it, that it's going to change into this sort of like glamorized movie that you keep replaying in your mind of how good something was. But I think that you're heavily editing the aspects of it that were really destructive. That's what's coming through, right? And it's going to cut off something that's meant to birth through you. It's like you keep labeling this as the end-all be-all. This was the guy, or this was the girl, or this was the job, or this was whatever it is. This is the dream, you know? And so this is where it can get a little dicey. Remember that piece that came in about, you know, will you choose the hero's arc or the villain arc? And you may think you'd never choose the villain arc until something you really, really want is on the table. And then very quickly, you abandon the light. You abandon the consciousness to dive back into the subconscious aspects that are the fate that keeps binding you to a less than desirable outcome, you know, because the light is too blinding. The fire of truth, it burns too much, you know. It hurts too much to go through the transformation because you have labeled this as the end-all be-all. And yet there's something here that you put on too much of a pedestal and it needs to take a fall so you can see what it really is. And you can start becoming more conscious of what you are labeling as the ultimate fulfillment. There's something about this is transforming for you. It's already in the process of changing. And this shadowy terrain is really going to get lit up for you here, especially with you in the South Node. So you don't stop cutting off your creative power and limiting your possibilities here. Okay, this is what's in between. So I find this really interesting. This is kind of like a wild card element, crossing element for you. Yeah. I mean, it's coming to a head for you with the new moon. Right now, it's currently crossing you in reverse. There's a pathway here that you keep feeding off of. Like you can't get enough of it. And it's more just based on superficial gratification. There's something here that has become a little greedy or a little grabby. You know, it could be you or the other that you're dealing with in a relationship, okay? Or it could just be your carnal desires or just what feels good for the moment, not really thinking about the long haul and reflecting back on the collective piece, talking about needing to have that endurance, you know, for the journey ahead, something to last. And it was 1:37:37 on the clock with that. That's 1:10:10. Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune, which way it spins, it really hangs in the balance as far as how you focus your attention, your awareness, and what you choose here. And 10:10, that's 20. That's judgment. And throw the 1 into that, you got 21, the world. So we know this is what you need to do. There's something you need to complete here. Something that has kept you maybe feeling gratified in the moment. It does have a very carnal feel to it. Okay, this could be somebody, you know, that you're just really attracted to. And you keep going back to this thing and it keeps leading to a particular outcome, you know. In some way, you do label this, whatever it is, as the dark force. There's a seductive quality to this. There's a gluttonous quality to this. There's something about just really being in the moment with this and throwing caution to the wind. But it's in reverse. So it's not working in your favor. But yet you've labeled it as this is it. Like this is the end all be all. This is the thing that I have to achieve. I desire this more than anything else. And it's the thing that's blocking your true path, actually. There's something that will be illuminated for you around this with your new moon that comes in on the 12th. Okay, what's on the other side here? I like it. Yep. Yep. You're going to start to see how that old vision of that being the end all be all, it's really close but no cigar. It's just a little bit off the mark. See, if you keep going down that road, you're not going to hit your north node. It's going to lead you down a garden path. So this is about getting your vision recalibrated. There's some kind of self-knowledge that's going to be activated for you. You will transform. You are going to shed that skin. The scales are going to fall from your eyes. You're going to see something for what it is. But I like it, okay? Because then you root something much different here with the weird tree, okay? This is when things start to get weird, but in a really good way, okay? This is when you actually start to see that you've been selling yourself short by banking on this particular dream. It can never be what you truly want it to be. But what you truly want to be is about to come through once you see what you've been wasting time on for too long, what you invested too much of your creative energy into. And once you see that, then you can start acting from a new place of knowledge. And this roots your legacy moving forward and brings you into alignment with the true path that leads to your stone of destiny. And it also activates your gifts. Look at Gabo there. See, the magic is a little off right now. Look at that. Gabo, fractured. Gabo, sometimes people use Gabo in sex magic. And just as I said that, I happen to look behind here, and we do have a group of people getting down that are looking a little confused and befuddled here. Okay, so this could be, yeah, this could be some compromising bedfellows here. Too many intertwined energies, you know. It's having an influence on the way you're seeing something here. This can be, I have to say, this can be people using the Shakti, using the sensual energy to raise power for magic. It could even be somebody is energy harvesting in that way. You might become more aware of this. Wow. And with that, we have an eagle chained to a calf. You may not realize how somebody has been feeding off your energy to gain new heights here, but I think Spirit's going to light it up for you. This is a chain you need to break. There's something here that's very seductive, but you're actually not allowing yourself to be in your full empowerment by continuing to feed this addiction. It's kind of coming through as a little bit of an addictive quality, whatever this is. And I feel like once you take your power back from this, you recover your creative energy and you're really able to transform your reality. Wow. That is very powerful. All right, Leo, Godspeed, okay? And now we got Scorpio coming in at 1:42:50 on the clock. You also have a choice to make, Scorpio. Decision you need to make, something to free you from the crossroads. It will require you taking action. Something you need to let go as well. Something that needs to come to an ending. Something that you've been needing to flush for quite some time. It's been sitting here too long. It's really starting to have an effect energetically on everything else in your reality. All right? I think what's hard to let go about this particular matter, whatever this is, something that's just been festering for too long, is something about this really like pissed you off. Something really pissed you off. you know? And that's more frustrating than anything. That's interesting. Some of you may have been trying to suppress how pissed off you are. Maybe you need to find a way to release your anger in a creative way instead of a damaging way. And when I say damaging, if you're holding it in or suppressing it, that is also damaging. It's really damaging to you, you know? There's something here that does need to be released. It's been held in for too long. I'm hearing it's leading to inflammation in your body too. Lymphatic inflammation. This anger. So find a way to let this anger out, however you need to. However you need to, you know, creatively, okay, not destructively. Or go somewhere, you know, go somewhere where you can release it to nature, you know. Climb to the top of a mountain, go on a good hike, and then scream it all out when you get to the top, you know. Create some kind of meaningful ritual to acknowledge and express gratitude to your righteous rage. Because there's something about that too, you know. People often negate that. Often anger can come through to try to help us remember our fire when it's been snuffed out. So there could be a lot of internalized fire going on with you. I don't know why I'm feeling it so physically, but I am. You might have like a lot of inflammation going on in your body right now. I also got something about like UTIs may be an issue too, you know, and that has something to do with, you know, just not being able to like really like let something go. This really needs to be released. It's having a damaging effect. Holding on to this longer is not going to benefit you in any way. There's also something about, you might be telling yourself a story like, oh, I'm not really angry about that, but you're suppressing it. I feel like it's coming through pretty powerfully, and I think because you're not acknowledging it, there's something about your body is doing the talking for you to try to get you to pay attention to this, all right? So clue into that a little bit, because it's coming through pretty strongly. I mean, it's coming through really strongly. You're losing a lot of your own fuel here, you know? There's something that is just like fed off of you for too long. This seems to be like a theme so far coming through. It's something that has you really in this almost like defensive posturing here. But it's coming from a place of being really depleted. Really depleted. I do feel like something came in either recently or is about to shortly that is going to have sort of like this jolting effect on you. It feels like it's a bit of a tower, but it's a tower that brings a very necessary transformation for you. So you stop letting yourself be drained like this. And then you'll finally gain the momentum you need to actually move forward and start nurturing the right things in your life. I feel like once you see this and you get recalibrated, you recognize what you should be setting your sights on. And once you develop that single pointed focus, I think you'll absolutely be able to achieve what you desire for yourself. This is about something outside of you that you've been giving too much of your time, your energy, your focus. You've been trying to suppress a lot of your feelings around this because diving into what you feel about it often just sort of fans those flames that are that pressurized fire, you know. It makes you feel even more frustrated when you let yourself really look at it. But there's something coming through here about, it's not about just like looking at it and then pushing it back down because you don't really want to acknowledge it because it feels shitty when you look at it. It's actually about getting it out of your body. Getting it out of your body. Like the only way to get it out of your body is to set it in motion. You may really need to take up some kind of physical discipline to help you get your clarity back here and really understand what you should be focusing your awareness and your attention on. Because there's something that it's old, it's been with you for a long time, and it's still feeding off of you, even though it's not giving anything back. And you're meant to have so much more. And it's like as soon as you address this, I feel like you need to get it physically out of your body. You need to move your lymph. It's coming through like so strong. You need to move your lymph. It's like, I heard staging a rebellion. It's like a soul revolution, you know? It's like your soul needs to rebel here. But I think that you won't be able to expel that trapped fire until you get your body moving, you know? I think that's what's problematic here. I think that's what's creating blockages in the lymph. I think that's what's preventing the full emotional release that needs to happen. And to me, it feels like pent up fire. So see, when your fire is pent up, it's hard for you to create new opportunities. It's difficult for you to have the energy and vitality you need for the things you really want to do. It can affect your confidence. It can affect your will. It can affect your determination. You can feel like you have no passion for anything, okay? It can have such a damaging effect. So any kind of movement would be good, all right? It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It can be just like a good walk, you know, a good brisk walk where you really like breathe deeply, or it can be some dance, you know, just some music you really enjoy. I feel like if you get moving like this, you might be surprised. You might be surprised with the release that comes through and how quickly you're able to get your focus back on track, you know? Also, there's something here about somebody inviting you to go on a trip. It may seem desirable, but I feel like you'll regret it if you go on this trip. Something about you're going to lose a lot if you go on this trip. Somebody's just after what they want, okay? It won't be as fulfilling of an experience as you think it will be. And there's something about it costing you a lot, or there could be some kind of mechanical breakdown on a trip. You could get stranded somewhere on a trip, all right? And maybe in a place where it's like kind of isolated. I'm just coming through for somebody, so I'm going to bring it through. I think whoever that message is for, when this comes in, you're automatically going to have a real sort of suspect feeling about it. You need to trust your intuition in regard to that, okay? Cut of the deck. Right? See, this is what it's all about, man. I think if you set this in motion, if you really start to set it in motion, get out of your head, get out of your feels around something here, okay? Get out of the story. Just start taking action. Get your body moving. Let your body do what it knows how to do best to clear out this excess trapped fire. Get your lymph flowing. Get everything moving so things can start moving in your life. Everything that goes on in our reality, there's no separation from our physical bodies. No separation from our thoughts. No separation from our feeling. It's all interconnected. The macrocosm is a reflection of what's going on within our own microcosm. So that's why it's all about really getting your own energy right when you want to change your life. It's not about trying to change anything outside of you. It's about looking at what you need to change internally, and that changes the way you move. It changes the choices you make. That's what shifts things here. I see you successfully achieving this. You've learned the lessons of Saturn very well. I think you're going to be able to really work with that energy of Saturn retrograde in Aries. And I do feel like you're going to embrace your hero's arc here. I see you taking your power back in a big way. And you're very, very focused here. I think you're going to hit a home run. And your chance to get up to bat and really use your power in a dynamic way that can change your reality, the first signs of it is coming in here in this lunar cycle. So pay attention. You play your cards right, you're going to hit that ball out of the park come December, right? 1:54:44 on the clock. You'll overcome the challenges of the past. You'll really be activating your wisdom from the time when Virgo was in the South Node. You'll have the light for the lantern to lead you forward. And you'll take that action and you'll nail it, man. Ooh, yes, I like that. I like that. See, because on the other side, you know, of laying something to rest, and this is sort of like what's teeming right now. This is what's happening right now. Do you see all this serpent energy here? This is a coffin full of tacos and snakes. It's a little cheeky, okay? So this is really like, this is the impregnating moment of your future. That's what this full moon in Aquarius ushered in here. There is all this creativity, all this potential that's ready to be seeded here to birth new things for you. It's being held in the crypt of the past. Don't be the crypt keeper. Don't be the crypt keeper by holding space, holding a place card for what has kept you in this state of just seething inwardly, feeling angry, feeling frustrated, and not wanting to acknowledge that. Because I feel like there is a part of you that's like not wanting to really acknowledge how outraged you are. But it is so essential that you get this out in a healthy way, because it's going to free up all of your transformational creative energy, this lunar cycle. And then there's so many new things that will birth in your life. There's so many opportunities that will come through. This is your creative fire, your creative passion really coming forward in a big way. And it is the rebirth energy, right? Pretty potent. Have faith in you. This is good energy, okay? Really good energy. You could have a Capricorn coming through as a strong ally for you. You might want to get to know some Capricorns. If you don't know any, you could learn a thing or two. You may have a Capricorn coming in that is going to be a real good ally for you as you step into this. Okay. There's also something about you play your cards right by the time you get to the end of this lunar cycle. Not only are you going to start to see yourself and your possibilities differently, other people are going to see you differently too. And I feel like that will continue. It's like more and more you'll have clarity about yourself and others will have clarity about you too. Okay, it's a dynamic energy. Woo, okay. Aquarius, North Node holder, coming in at 1:57:54. Wow, look at you. You're already ready. I like this. Basis of the matter for Aquarius. You've already played your hand. You've already looked at the hand you were dealt. You got dealt hand of fate. But I feel like you've been playing your cards wisely. Very wisely here. I also feel like you're doing that work right now. You've been going through the Hall of Mirrors. You went through the shattering phase. You had to go through that. You had to shatter the mirrors of illusion. You had to face off with the perceived enemy, the opponent. But there's something that's been taken to a greater point of refinement for you here. And now what I see coming through so brilliantly, so beautifully, so powerfully for you is just this absolute clarity from polishing the mirror. You're starting to see yourself accurately now. You're starting to recognize that it's all up to you. It's all up to you. It's like you've started with the man in the mirror. You're not looking outside of yourself to affect the change anymore. You know it's all about you. And this is giving you a single pointed source of focus. And what you're laying here is foundational. And you're going to get all the way to the top. It's like I'm seeing an aerial view as you're stepping into this north node position. I'm seeing like this aerial view of whatever you're building here. It's not just for you, because you hold that collective energy, Aquarius. It's for the future. It's for a new age. And what is being laid down here with Pluto moving through your sign, and in this very potent lunar cycle, this is built to last. This is something that's going to stand the test of time. This is going to be the birthing ground of your legacy, whatever you're setting in motion here. And yes, it is that significant. You are leading the charge for all of the collective. But in your personal life, you're laying down the foundation of something here, and you're willing to go to the limit, through the fire. I'm hearing, ooh, through the fire, Chaka Khan. Through the fire, to the limit, to the wall. For a chance to be with you, I'd gladly risk it all. There's something you're focused on here that you're laying the foundation for, and you're putting it all on the line. And you see it clearly, because you see yourself clearly now. And the cards are in your favor. I feel that. That's a strong way to start out. Whatever you're building here is built to last. Ooh, yeah, look at you. You're recovering the ancient knowledge of the past. And people may look at you, they may think that you're a little too big for your britches. It's just because you are so lit up. You're so lit up by what you see. You see it with such absolute clarity for yourself. There's something you feel in your bones. This is those records awakening in you. It's you retrieving all this knowledge from the past that you're bringing forward within you. I mean, we're all going through this in the Aquarian age, but you're certainly a record holder at this time. And those records are sources of empowerment for you, because they're awakening you to these gifts you hold. Gifts you've always held, gifts that have always been woven into your bloodline, gifts that are rooted in your DNA, and they're activating through you now. Some of you may even be completing a karmic cycle with certain star mates, characters that take you back to a past lifetime. If you prescribe to that, if that's something that you relate to. Okay, there's something here that may be coming forward from your past life in terms of this life you're currently living here. But if there is something in that nature coming through here, there's almost like this interdimensional quality to it. Like it's got this kind of echoey energy where it almost feels like something sounding a call to you from a great distance that is starting to come into your auditory awareness right here and now. There's something about auditory awareness, something you're hearing more acutely. I'm hearing. You're hearing more acutely. You've got a lot of power. Look at that big stick you're carrying here. Right? A lot you're bringing forward with you. Right? Some people may think that you're a bit much at this time, you know, just because of the way you are now showing up, really holding your power. You know, a lot of times people discredit Aquarius because they're like, oh, Aquarius is like always like so out there and, you know, off in the ether, wandering off into the alfalfa, you know. But, yeah, Aquarius is revolutionary. Aquarius is willing to be an individual. Aquarius is willing to be the odd man out. It takes somebody who's willing to disrupt the status quo to be a leader. And Aquarius holds a lot of wisdom, right? They hold a lot of transformational energy. Yeah. But you might have some people go, oh, look at this effing guy over here. Like, who do you think you are? It's like, as people see you starting to really hold your power, they may try to dim your light, you know? You might be dealing with some people who want to, like, you know, make you smaller, don't want you to be such a commanding presence. There's something about you reminding them that, look, I'm a torchbearer here, and I'm going to use my fire to also light your fire so you can pass it on. You also really represent like that collective consciousness too. A lot of you are going to be led to be in more leadership positions. You might need to take the lead on something here. People may look at you sideways, like, who do you think you are to say you're going to lead here? What gives you the right? You have every right. And you got a big stick here. You're holding a lot of power, so there's something that you see very clearly. And I see you bringing your fire forward, okay? See you bringing your fire forward in a very determined way. There's a lot of Egyptian symbolism here, just for the pyramid to come in first. And then this has very much like this kind of like Pharaoh kind of energy here, right? The one thing I would say is sometimes when we are really lit up by something and we feel really strongly and we want to lead the charge, sometimes we can use a little too much force. So I would just say, yeah, you're holding a lot of fire right now. You're holding a lot of power. Be aware of how you use that. That's important, because we can look back to the time of the pyramids and how the pyramids were erected and the energy around that, and there are some compromising dynamics in that. You know, you don't want to use your power in such a way where you're like clobbering people over the head in order for them to get your point, you know, or to get them on board. You don't want to chain people to your ideas or your perspective, because while you may have ideas or notions that are very progressive, to do so in such a way is more in alignment with the programming than it is moving into the expansion of that golden age. And when we look at the Plutonian energy in Aquarius, yes, it is about disrupting the status quo and moving into expansion, but we have to be aware of the shadow side of that can bring a lot of overly controlling, sort of surveilling kind of elements into the mix. So just be aware of that, especially with you hosting that energy of Pluto, that you're mindful of this. It's so important. Hold this power wisely, and maybe use it as a point of reflection. If you do have a lot of people kind of coming at you like, who do you think you are? And maybe pull back a little bit before getting into an argument about why you feel so passionate about something, and ask yourself, is there any kind of reflection there for me to look at? Like, is there a way I can kind of shift my approach where maybe people can actually receive it, or they'll be receptive, or they might start to come around to my point of view, or at least be open to hearing me out, okay? And if you drop in with it and you really lean into it and you create that space to polish that mirror, which it looks like you're pretty good at doing at this point, and you're like, no, I really feel like, you know, I'm clear on this and this feels right, then don't let anybody dim you down or silence you, and just gung-ho, man, okay? Godspeed. Do what you need to do to see this through, all right? Let's do a cut of the deck and see what this message has for you. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're not wearing any masks. I think for a while you were putting on certain social pleasantries. I feel like it might have been more to make other people comfortable. You're not willing to do that anymore. Look at you. You're like Merlin, you know? You got your mojo working for you. You've been in your hermit mode a bit. You've learned a lot. You got a lot of wisdom. You got a lot of wisdom that's meant to carry the whole collective forward here, you know? Heavy is the head, man. Heavy is the head. Maybe that's why you need, you know, that protection on your head. Heavy is the head to hold that kind of power. I feel like you're taking off your mask. I think you're not willing to like live out an old version of yourself for other people's comfort anymore. You're really letting people see who you are, right? There may be, you know, energies that are attached to you that are a little greedy, you know? They want to take, they want to take, they want to take. You know, you've been dealing with people who have like a mind kind of attitude, and you're like, no, it's not just yours, it's for all of us. I don't know, there's something here where you're not willing to play a role anymore. I think you're taking off your mask, and you're letting people see who you are, and I think it's going to rock people a little bit. I think when people really see you in your power, they're going to tell you to get back in line, you know? And some of you may be taking on like a really strong organization, or some kind of like, whoa, okay, I don't know. Is there an Aquarius of note, like a public figure that's taking on, I heard, an authoritarian regime? Okay, I mean, somebody here is really creating change. I think what you've been disguising, ooh, I'm just seeing this. Ooh, I like the way that symbolism is coming through. I think this is what you've been disguising. You have been disguising how much power you hold. See, that's what's wearing the mask. Look at that. And you're like, surprise. It's the end of you concealing how much power you hold. And I think what's also helping you recognize, maybe you weren't even recognizing yourself, how much power you held, because you've had some kind of greedy energies here. They wanted your power, so they tried to take it by force. But I think you're revealing something to a particular character who may have thought that they were able to work you, you know? Maybe they were trying to hold some kind of power over you. It's like you're all, you didn't think I had much power, did you? Check this out. Because you definitely got your mojo working for you here. I like it. It's good energy. You might be kind of a loner right now. I don't think many Aquariuses have issue with spending time on their own, but I think even more so, I think you're really focused on your spiritual path, and it's coming through as your own weird little interests. That's what I'm going to label them as, because that's how it's being expressed here. I feel like that is a label. I think that's what other people have called these things that you find interesting, these things that you like to focus on. No, they're just, never mind them. They're just off in their workshop, you know, doing that weird shit they do in there. Whatever this is like, it's like this almost like mad scientist side of you, or this part of you that's maybe not able to really be grasped or understood by others, but this is what really feeds you, and this is something that empowers you. You could be working on something particular, okay? But I do feel like you've kind of been keeping yourself a bit, but where you've been dealing with a grabby kind of character here, somebody who's been really selfish, somebody who's tried to hold power over you, I think you're about to reveal the power you hold to this person and set them straight. And yeah. There's somebody who's not getting as much access to your energy as they used to. You're not letting them know what you're up to in your personal time. This person may think that you're being a little bit reclusive, or you're acting weird, you're acting strange, you never want to hang out anymore. And there's a reason for that. Okay. I think somebody's mask has fallen away. You see them for who they really are. Okay. Ooh, yeah. You're trusting your instincts on this. You're like, look, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. F the duck, man. I don't got time for that. I'm not going to be tempted by that. You're activating your self-knowledge. You're using your brains, and you're transforming this situation. It's good. It's putting you in a really powerful position. All I know is you're moving on up, man. It looks really good. Just keep yourself centered in this way, and you are definitely going to hit the mark, okay? Real good read for you, Aquarius. Wow. Aquarius is going to be calling out a lot of BS. Just be prepared, people. All right, and finally, Taurus coming at 2:13:50 on the clock. All right, Taurus. There is something that's coming to an end. You sense it, you feel it, you intuit it, but you also know that as one thing ends, it brings a new beginning for you. You can't have one without the other. You've been here many times on this kind of threshold. It's like there's something about the territory you're in right now where you're like, yeah, I know this territory. I've been here before. And you do have enough trust in yourself that you know you can pull it off, even though it rubs a little to find yourself in this space again. Yeah, you're taking a stand for something. You're taking a stand for something. You're really harnessing your creative power right now, and you are taking a stand for something. You're tired of being used as a pawn. This is like the moment where somebody thinks they've been playing checkers with you, and you say, actually, it's chess. Checkmate. It's like a checkmate moment. Somebody tried to really affect the way you were seeing this situation, and you see it really clearly. You see that if I don't end this, I'm not going to be able to create what I want for myself in my life, because it's keeping me in a position where it's just like bound up all of my energy to create new beginnings for myself. And I think you're really taking a stand. There's something that you know you want. You know you want this. You want this new beginning. And you know in order to have this new beginning, you have to take a stand for it. You have to really harness all of your energy to open your road and to take action. You can't sit idle with this anymore. And there's something very special you're brewing up here too. It's like you got your own special sauce you're working with. It's got like a magical potion, you know, kind of vibe to it. It's like the elixir of life, you know. There's something here that's giving you a sense of immortality in the way that what could finish most, you know, what could just level others and make them completely give up, somehow you're able to transmute this and change it into an elixir of life. Something that just gives you the ability to bounce back even stronger than before. And I think it's because this is what's been quietly nurtured within. The expression isn't so outwardly displayed. It's more self-contained right now, but it will be visible soon when you make a key move. It's a checkmate move and has something to do with a new beginning. Something you really, really want here. Yep. Absolute. I love it. Got like Lilith vibes here. Check out where your Lilith placement is in your chart. I feel like your Lilith is really activated right now. You may have felt cast away. You may have felt like you were wandering alone. You may have felt like you were punished for stepping into your power. You may have felt like you have been brandishing a scarlet letter in some cases. I think that you have outwardly expressed your anger. You have expressed your rage. And you may have been villainized for it. But I feel like you had to express this. It was necessary to protect this. Protect this. You might have been expressing rage around something that you needed to protect. You needed to protect. There's some vision you have for yourself, you have for your life, you have for your future. You've had a lot of suffering around it. You've shed a lot of tears around it. There's been a lot of delays around this. I'm picking up a lot of heartbreak. I'm picking up a lot of like 3 of Swords kind of energy. It's just been temporary though. There had to be delays because there's a lot of shit you had to let go of, stuff that you've been holding on to for too long. You also had to see something clearly that you couldn't see accurately before. It's like you were invested in something, you were so invested in it, you were so determined to have it, that when you got it, you recognized it wasn't the pie in the sky that it was promised to be. It was just this slice. It's like you settled for so much less, and something that didn't even really value you. It devalued you in some way. It devalued you. Whatever this was, it didn't want you to be in your strength. It only valued you if you acquiesced. It only valued you if you played a certain role. And that certain role just wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't meeting you where you were at. It required that you gave up all your power. It required that you sacrificed too much of your wild nature. And it took a while. I think you struggled with this for a long time. You bounced back and forth between your head and your heart. But your vision is becoming very clear here. And you found the merging point. You're building a bridge in this lunar cycle, and it's going to align you with your true path. And you'll move into your ascension phase. So I feel like you already dealt with the descent. I think you already went down real deep. And now you're on the rise. And there's a little chaos that's connected to this, okay? It feels a little disruptive as you rise up into your power and you straighten your crown here. But what crowns you is something that will be built to last. And the power of it will be evident. But there's something here that you are eliminating. You are working with that like tail end of the dragon, so you can rise up into the head and take in and drink in what is going to crown you here, all right? The process, it feels a little chaotic though, but anything of this magnitude with the history behind it, I'm hearing, with the suffering behind it, it might need to get like that. It looks like you need to kind of shake things up here a little bit to lay the foundation for this. But it's positive. It's like you're earning your wings. You got owl medicine coming through for you very powerfully. 2:22:10 on the clock. Coming in with big Emperor, Wheel of Fortune, High Priestess energy. There's something here that has revealed a secret empowerment to you. Something that has been hidden from you. And it's like you are taking on that Emperor status. It's turning your Wheel of Fortune. At one point, the wheel was rolling over you. You never thought you were going to catch a break, and you're going to find yourself on the higher round of that wheel, where you're going to have a much different view moving forward. A much different journey is about to begin here for you. Really, really powerful, potent. All right, let's check it out. I love it. Got elk medicine coming through. This is having a healthy sense of pride. It's not arrogant. It's not egocentric. It's recognizing the strange territory you've been moving through, the spiritual tests you've had to navigate. The way that you had to just feel your way out, follow the path that Spirit laid out to you on blind faith. You had to take the helm of your life, even when you were moving through really stormy, treacherous seas. But whatever you're gaining here, it's giving you a healthy sense of pride. It's not arrogance. It's just a simple recognition of what it took for you to gain the sight it takes to be able to navigate your way to your ascent to the top of Star Mountain, where your North Node resides. Expect things to continue to get more out there. This is a mystical kind of influence coming in for you. There's going to be a lot of synchronicities coming in, a lot of things coming to bloom, a lot of signs of life up ahead. And they may come in the most curious, synchronistic ways that just really kind of take you for a loop, lets you know I'm in a much different territory than I've been traveling through up till now. There could be something about a mountain of significance, taking a trip to a mountain that's going to give you a different vision. I got psychonaut energy coming through for some of you. It makes me think about, in certain cultures, they believe that if you partake of the magic mushrooms and you go sit on top of a mountain, you will stare into the face of God. There's something about this, like it's almost like having the I am consciousness revealed to you through a visionary experience. It's coming through when you're in nature, and there's something about the mountains coming through really strongly. The mountains may be calling you. Some of you are embracing a different kind of spirituality, and it's opening you up to certain magical empowerments that you're unfamiliar with. Some of you are opening up to more of a kind of like Zen perspective. You might be dropping in with things like meditation, and maybe you've had a very different kind of spiritual path where that wasn't really part of your practice. Some of you are feeling really called to work with the stone people. You're feeling called to work with crystals too. You're finding that you're getting a lot of information from crystals too. When you hold them in your hands, crystals are record keepers. They do transmit a lot of information. I do feel like you're moving. I'm noticing look, there's like this disconnection from the rest of the body. So there is one thing that I do want to bring in here as all of this starts to filter into your reality. It is important to remain connected to the physical body when you go up into these upper channels, okay? So make sure you're doing some real good rooting. I think that's also what the mountain is speaking to. Mountains have a lot of strength. They have a lot of solidity to them. They have a strong base. And yes, they reach high into the heavens, but they're very formidable, okay? So there's something here about really working with stones too for clarity, for grounding, right? Really important, because I do feel like there's a lot of downloads you're receiving here. There's a lot of visionary states you're moving into here. There's a lot of information that's coming in for you. And it's really putting you at the helm in your life. It's giving you directive. It's important for you to trust this directive. It is like your GPS coming on board, right? But it's also essential that you root it in the physical, right? So that may be a clue too, like go spend time in the mountains, go spend time, really making contact with the earth so you don't kind of like go too far out in the ether, because I feel like whatever's coming through here is really meant to be embodied and grounded in your reality. And I love it. Yeah, this is beautiful. So there is this energy where you got your sights set on something here that you're going to hit the mark with. I think there's been something that's been a little bit of a silly distraction, something that has been taking up too much of your focus. You're really going to pinpoint what that is. And when you bring that to an end and you eliminate this, I don't know why, but it is giving me like the impression of like this like parasitic energy. It comes off as unassuming, may even come off as kind of friendly, but it feeds off your energy. And I'm just noticing this here. This is like, yes. Wow, I've never seen that before. This is like algas. This is like a protective influence that comes in when you root this awareness of what is this like parasitic force. It's like something that was unknown to you, but you know, algas is protective, but it's also like the voice of Odin, the voice of the unknowable. Like there's something here that is going to be highlighted for you. And it's something I feel that's been kind of like messing with your energy for too long, distracting you. And you need to eliminate this. You need to eliminate this. And I almost feel like you're going to be kind of like playing like you're down for the count as you suss this out. Like there might be some way that you kind of pull your energy back so you can observe. You can observe somebody who gets kind of loud when you do this. That's going to help you really identify what this force is so you can eliminate it. So you can clear out this parasitic influence. Once you do that, it will be the end of you missing the mark. And I feel like where there's been something that's been kind of like, it's coming through as playing in your face. This energy's been playing in your face. It comes out friendly. It may even present itself as being something that does protect you. Okay? This could be an aspect of yourself too. We have to remember this. It could be a way that you're presenting a certain side of yourself that actually is revealing more of a weakness than it does your strength. This is pretty deep. I mean, there's something you definitely need to pinpoint here and eliminate. Because it could be too, like you may be showing up in a situation or how you share yourself with others in a way that you feel like it's self-protective, but it's actually draining you of your true empowerment. And it's time for you to let the facade fall so your true identity can be revealed. It's like there's an old form, an old way of showing up that's shifting here, that you're starting to see is not really protecting you. It's something that's like a little bit foolish here. This is multi-layered. I got like a little mirroring energy coming in here, so hold on with me for a moment here. Because it's really interesting. It's got like a little, like a double mirror. Like there's somebody on the other side of that mirror. It's almost like this energy that kind of works back and forth. Because I could also see this is somebody you're very familiar with. This is somebody that's a friend to you. This is somebody that you may feel stronger when you are with this person, sort of like me and you against the world, or I got you in my corner, like this is an ace up the sleeve. And you might be playing in each other's faces. And it's all kind of silliness. And it's actually draining both of your power. It's like there could be somebody that's, you know, coming through as like real gregarious and playful, and they're always smiling and joking around with you. And meanwhile, they got like a target on your back, you know, and they're aiming for it. But I feel it works both ways. And there's something that's being revealed to you here that allows you to bring an end to this cycle, and then it makes you master of the hunt. Because it takes away what's been siphoning your focus, your awareness, your empowerment, and has you taking an action that has you hitting the mark. Because it's almost like this is really, it's like some nonsense. It's some nonsense. I mean, this is silliness. I mean, an algus is like a real strong, empowering symbol. I mean, it's connected to Odin, you know? Odin is the one who hung from the Yggdrasil tree, suffered to bring back the mystery and the language to communicate about the mystery. So I can also see this as people like playing with the great mystery, but doing so in a really like immature, childish, like playful way. This could be even two like alchemists, like going tit for tat, throwing workings at each other, you know? And nobody's empowered here. You're both missing the mark, you know? That's for a few, okay? Not for everybody. But you know me, I bring all of the stuff in as it comes in. There's something about not being distracted by silliness or the dramatics or going tit for tat with something either. Mastering the situation, I heard eternally, but it's also coming through internally. So see, there's something here that's been going on for a long time. And if this isn't nipped in the bud, it will continue to repeat cycles, you know? This is a test. You really have to hit the mark with this. If you hit the mark with this, then you'll understand the voice of the eagle that flies higher than any other. You'll understand the voice of Odin. You'll understand a bit of that mystery. And it's not anything that is unlocked by trying to affect the other in this dynamic, whatever this is. This is really about you mastering this internally to resolve something that changes the energetic frequency eternally. All right? Really interesting. There could be a Sagittarius in the mix here, that Archer reference. And you did have that Wheel of Fortune come in as well. So stay alive to that. All right? Well, I hope that serves you well. I hope you got information that can support you as you move through this lunar cycle. Really just allow yourself to be very present with whatever you're feeling as things roll out. Trust your own counsel. Trust your intuition. Really step into that and stay on track. Stay on track. Stay focused with where you're going. Keep your focus. Whatever you need to do to cultivate your focus so you don't miss the mark. It's so key right now. It's so key. It's so essential. Okay? If you do, you're going to be so surprised where you land. So surprised when you see the harvest that starts coming in the fall. And by the time you reach December and we experience that transition from Saturn retrograde, you're going to recognize, oh, look there. I do have a diamond from the void in my hand. Godspeed.